You know, we've all heard the term eating disorder, which describes serious, specific medical conditions like anorexia and bulimia. But increasingly, doctors and therapists are concerned with something called disordered eating, which can be a precursor to something more serious. Clinical psychologist and co-founder of Joon Care, Dr. Amy Mezulis, joins me now to talk about this, and I'm so glad that we are, because I don't think I've ever heard this term, disordered eating. Will you explain what that is?
Absolutely. It's a term, as you said, a lot of doctors, therapists, clinicians are starting to use it to understand all the sort of thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that may represent a unhealthy, disordered relationship with food or body image and eating that may be a precursor to these eating disorders that will come later and, as you said, are very severe and serious medical conditions.
Okay, so what is the worry with disordered eating? What is the tipping point?
Sure. I think the worry with disordered eating is that the thoughts and feelings and behaviors, so this is things like restricting your food intake, right? Restricting calories, spending a lot of time thinking about how you look or being concerned about how you appear, being preoccupied with food or body image, that these are behaviors that can sort of sneak up on us and turn into an eating disorder.
Yeah.
And eating disorders are pretty serious, and so we really want to catch that unhealthy relationship with food and eating before it becomes serious and needs medical treatment.
You know, it's interesting. I kind of admonished myself the other day because my daughter, who's young, she's 10, she has a friend who's 10 who limits what she eats.
Yeah.
And I thought, this doesn't seem right. And then I admonished myself, like, don't start thinking this way about a 10-year-old girl, but this is kind of when this starts happening.
This is exactly the age, absolutely. This preteen and through the teen years are really the age at which we start seeing it. And there's a lot, there's a lot that's happening there, right? There's all the social pressures, bodies are starting to change, puberty's starting to hit, people start paying a little bit more attention to their body, and they're also receiving a lot of cues and feedback from the environment, their parents, their peers, about a lot of shoulds, right? What you should look like, what you should eat, what your relationship with food should be, and that gets in your head, you know, pretty fast when you're young.
I think about some of the things that my mom, who I love so much, she wanted nothing but to build me up, but there were things that were always said, little things that stuck in, that are still there.
They're still there. That's the thing.
Oh, I can't get it out.
No, it helps us, at least when we're parenting, to remember those little things that we hold on to. Our kids are holding on to the same ones.
Well, then I do want to jump ahead to that question about parents, because we need to approach the way we talk to our kids much differently than probably you and I were, right?
Absolutely. This is true of every behavior and thought and feeling that our kids have, is that we are the best role models. And so the best way that we can help our kids have a healthy relationship with food, with eating, with their bodies, is for us not to tell them that, but to model it. We really need to have ourselves, I know it's hard, we need to have a healthy relationship with our bodies and our relationship with food, and that's how we pass that on to our kids. And if we don't, and not many of us don't, and that's a generational thing, but also a social thing, those thoughts and feelings and behaviors that can sneak up on us, try and keep them away from the kids when we can.
Okay. I know enough as a parent to know not to talk about my body badly. As a matter of fact, when the kids are younger, they'll say things like, "Why does your tummy stick out?" And I'll just be like, "Because I have a beautiful body that made you." When in my head, I'm like, "You did that, but that's okay." But no, I know enough to not talk about it. But I was on the couch the other day. We were watching TV, and I'm not going to lie, I'm just going to share this with you guys. And I was just playing with my tummy.
Feeling the body.
Just squeezing it. And my daughter's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm helping my digestive tract." I mean, it is, sometimes it's not even a verbal cue, it can be a visual.
You don't even notice you're doing it sometimes. Yep. And I think that it is true. I think that especially any of us who may not have a perfect relationship with food or our body, we may need to be a little bit more intentional then in sort of handling our own thoughts and feelings so that we can be that good role model for our kids.
So what causes disordered eating? Is it us? Is it the parents?
It's all of the above. I mean, I think, look, we know there's a lot of social cues, right? Social media has been really challenging for disordered eating and eating disorders, because there's so many cues out there about what the right body or the right relationship with food should be. But in addition to things that parents model, in addition to the messages you're getting from social media, we do know that most disordered eating has beneath it. A lot of anxiety and depression. Often we'll see kids who have a very high need for control, perfectionism, difficulty tolerating strong emotions, right? Like difficulty sort of being in their feelings. This can sometimes get displaced on things that they feel like they can control, like their food intake or their body. And so it's a really, pretty easy thing for the brain to do, to decide when I can't control what's happening at school or in my family life, I can control what I put in my body. And it gives us an illusion of control. So that's one thing I think we can see. And when I'm working with families, one of the things that we can, because it's very difficult to control the social media messaging. Families can get really good about how the tone they put around food in their houses, in their own homes, but working with kids on issues related to being able to tolerate emotions, being able to tolerate uncertainty, and being able to find ways to find that need for control in other domains.
So it's a whole person approach. It's not just like, okay, hey, we're going to attack eating, disordered eating today. We're going to start with the baseline of how do we control these emotions and how to handle
do we
that.
just live as a person? How do we manage our emotions? How do we handle our need for control, which are very human needs? And because if you just focus on the eating, you're just going to find that those issues pop up other places too. So.
Right. Can you help me control my emotions? I am honestly so very grateful for all this information. I know, we focused on girls a lot in this, and it does affect boys too, so we want to point that out. But I just want to say thank you so much for coming and talking with us.